USA Today opinion columnist and former senior advisor for the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Kurt Bardella. He is now a Morning Joe contributor. Also with us, political strategist Rick Wilson. He's out with a new book entitled Running Against the Devil, a plot to save America from Trump and Democrats from themselves. Wow, man. What an apt title for the stuff we're going to cover today.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rick, what we learned last night in the Rachel Maddow interview was just a political earthquake.
It really was, Joe, and it's a lesson for these guys in the Senate going forward. There will always be something new. There will always be some more stinky revelation. Every time you think you're at the bottom of the manure pile, there's more there. Yeah. These guys are always going to find out more things. And they're going to have a consequence. If they try to cover this up and wash it away and get rid of it right away, they're going to have a consequence that the news is going to keep coming. Yeah. The testimony is going to keep coming. The facts will keep coming. And they're going to be complicit in this if they're not very damn careful.
And what shocks me, I mean, Tom Nichols, the past couple of days, I loved what he said. He said, I didn't leave the Republican Party because of Donald Trump. I left it because of Susan Collins.
Sure.
And people like Susan Collins. I think I'm there, you're there, yep. Everybody else is there. I don't know that Mika's quite there yet. But a lot of us give Trump not a free pass, but we understand just how damaged a human being he is.
He's mentally infirm.
I think a lot of people would suggest that. But Susan Collins knows better. Like Trump, we'll say this of Trump. He didn't grow up in government. He didn't grow up understanding the concept. He's ignorant of it all. Susan Collins is not.
He's not.
Mitch McConnell is not.
Cory Gardner
is not. They all know better. And you see what Susan Collins says yesterday, and it's so depressing. It's like, I don't want to know the truth, and I'm going to play really stupid right now because they don't want the truth to come out.
They don't want the truth to come out, and they can't remember history. You brought it up in the earlier segment today. In Watergate, you had 49 House members who had months before been defending Richard Nixon, saying, this is a witch hunt, this isn't real. They got blown out. 8 members of the Senate, they got blown out. In 1980, blowout. 1994, corruption kills candidacies. And defending corruption is almost even worse than being the source of it. Because the voters do not want somebody who empowers corrupt behavior in office. And Susan Collins doing this thing yesterday, it's the typical fan dance that she does. Oh, I'm troubled. Oh, I'm so concerned. Oh, I'm worried. And then goes ahead and does exactly what Trump needs. Yeah. And this is a behavior that I think citizens in Maine will eventually say, that's enough.
I think that's coming, Kurt. But again, Nixon goes back to San Clemente, right? Mm-hmm. He's an ex-president for life. Donald Trump goes back to Mar-a-Lago. These guys, who really are suckers, Trump's playing them as suckers. These are the guys who never escape it, whose daddy didn't give them $400 million. They're the ones, the Cory Gardners, the Susan Collins, the Tom Tillises, the Martha McSallies. They're the ones that are branded as corrupt and defenders of corruption, and they can't escape it for the rest of their lives.
Well, I mean, this is the enabling of this, and you're right about this. This is one of the reasons why I left the Republican Party, because it wasn't just about Donald Trump. It was people that we know who know better, who continue to allow this to happen, who make excuses, and who just don't want to know the facts and bury their head in the sand and are now complicit in this cover-up. It's those people where this is going to be a fix to their political obituary forever. Unlike Donald Trump, this wasn't a sideshow. I'm going to run for president to see what happens. He didn't expect to win. We all know that he thought that he was going to just create his own media company after he lost. For these senators, for these people who are on the record defending him, this is going to stay with them wherever they go forever, because this has been their entire livelihood. They don't have a backup plan.
Right. But, Rick, aren't they in too deep at this point? When Mitch McConnell has said before the trial even starts, there's no way we're going to convict the president. When Lindsey Graham said, I don't want to even see the transcripts of all these interviews. He's the chair of the Judiciary Committee, by the way. I don't want to see the evidence. How do they get out of that? Now, how could they even turn after, let's say, the Lev Parnas interview, or let's say after testimony from John Bolton and say, you know what, come to think of it, despite everything I've been saying for 3.5 years, I'm going to vote to convict the president. Is there a way out of this for any of those Republicans?
Look, this is like the weekend bender, okay? And on Friday night, it's a lot of fun, and you're having a great time. And on Saturday, you're starting to feel it. And on Sunday, there's a dead hooker in the trunk. You got to do something before you get to the dead hooker in the trunk.
That's a visual.
Yikes. Your weekends go a little differently than mine.
Yeah.
But they've got to get to the point where they realize he will do everything to calm them into letting them be the enablers. He will try to skate out of this. It's like bankrupting casinos. This guy is going to do everything he can to use them and blame them. And if they don't have a revelation, if they don't have a moment where they go, I better step away from the table, I better stop drinking, I got to end this before it gets out of hand, they're going to be the ones, as Joe said, they're going to go down in history with the stain on them. They're going to be the ones who are unemployable in the future. I mean, look, if you get Sue Collins, and she's going to have to be a community college teacher at a Rustock Community College in Maine and live in the witness protection program, she's going to be so ashamed by the time this is over. But if they don't have a moment where they summon some courage, they're going to go down.
What makes you think that's going to happen? It hasn't happened in 3.5 years.
I wrote in the new book, there are no heroes right now in the Republican Party. Even the ones who should be able, because they don't have any political fear of Trump. Mitt Romney is not up for election. Donald Trump will be in the ground before Mitt Romney loses an election in Utah. But he still has hesitated and hesitated, and that's because there's a linchpin in the Senate, and that's Mitch McConnell. Until Mitch McConnell understands or feels that he will lose his majority, Donald Trump will get the stone wall of protection, because Mitch McConnell is telling Susan Collins, I got you. You need 20 million, you got 20 million. You need 50 million, you got 50 million. He is going to tell them, I will save you until the end. They have to be convinced that they cannot be saved even by McConnell and his money.
So it's kind of, for many of them, isn't it obvious that history isn't it obvious where this is leading and where how history will view them?
Right.
I mean, this is why I'm stuck on these people not capable of looking at what is available to them as information and what could be available if they even garnered the thought of transparency. So it's staggering.
And Jonathan Lemire, you can think about the people that have worked for Donald Trump, that have remained loyal to Donald Trump, that he's thrown away just over the past few years. You can think about the people in prison that he threw away. Even Roy Cohn, he runs around saying, I need my Roy Cohn, he finally got it with Bill Barr, but even Roy Cohn got AIDS, Trump dropped him, let him die alone, pretended he didn't know him, completely washed his hands of him. That's how it ends with Donald Trump.
Loyalty has always been a one-way street for Donald Trump, both as a celebrity developer, a reality TV star, and now as politician and president. Rick, my question is this, at this point, no, these Republicans have not shown any courage. They have not stepped forward. And as much as I want to ask you about the dead hooker you just mentioned, what I'm going to ask you instead is the idea that, there's a real possibility he's going to win again. Sure. The polls are close, that he could be reelected, he could be 4 more years of this. Is that the bargain they're making? That yes, maybe they have to face the verdict of history decades down the road, but they can enjoy power for maybe not just 10 more months, but perhaps 5 more years?
Well, I think a lot of them right now are looking at the filing deadlines in their states. And they're afraid I think that's one of the things that's keeping them in line is Lindsey Graham knows that on, I think it's March 5th in South Carolina, at that point, Trump can't get a primary guy up against him. So that's a little bit of it. But I do think a lot of them are making the calculation the Democrats are going to nominate somebody who is not going to be electable against Trump or is not going to run the right kind of campaign against Trump. And they are fearful. I mean, the primary motivator for all Republicans in the Senate of Trump is not that they love this guy, it's that they fear him. And so that fear is a very powerful motivator. And again, filing deadlines will pass. We'll see about that. And at some point, they will reach the fire will be so hot at some point, they'll recognize they can't be saved by McConnell.
All right. New this morning, Ukraine is set to open a criminal investigation into the hacking of Burisma and the possible illegal surveillance of then U.S. Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. On the alleged surveillance, the Ukrainian government cites the Washington Post's reporting on text messages from Republican congressional candidate Robert Hyde to Lev Parnas, suggesting he was tracking the then ambassador's moves. Ukraine said it will investigate if she was illegally tracked or whether it is just, quote, bravado and fake information in the informal conversation between 2 U.S. citizens. On the Burisma hacking, Ukraine said it intends to reach out to the FBI for help in a joint international investigation. Katty Kay.
Yeah. Good luck with that, right?